Is there a humanitarian crisis in Venezuela? And if so, what has caused that?
So, the economy is in very bad shape in Venezuela. And if you look at, the indicators of the economy, you see it crash essentially when the price of oil crashed. So that began, 10 years ago, something around that, where
Right.
the price of oil, it's now about 1/3 of what it used to be. So, this is a very desperate situation. Like most oil-producing countries, Venezuela is very dependent on its oil. Mm-hmm. And it's not surprising that the new government under Chavez was not able to fix everything. They had a gazillion things going on, and what did they prioritize? They prioritized starvation, they prioritized literacy, they prioritized housing, and not just limited to Venezuela. They were funding people who didn't have heating oil here in Boston.
Right.
And around the U.S. They offered to provide relief, for example, to send relief teams during Hurricane Katrina, and more recently even with Hurricane Maria and the other devastating hurricanes in the last couple of years. So, they've been very motivated by social programs to their own harm, because they didn't prioritize diversifying their economy and developing, for example, their food system. So when their economy crashes, they're in trouble. They didn't establish a rainy day fund. But these are not devastating errors. All countries make errors. I mean, what happened to us in 2008, And we've had a couple hundred years of experience behind us. We basically repeated all the problems that led into the Great Depression. We allowed Wall Street basically to get away with murder, and we allowed wealth to concentrate into the hands of very few. So, we were kind of responsible for the crash of our economy and the incredible devastation that ensued. But, did somebody invite another country to come invade us because we made errors in our economy? No, that's outrageous. But on top of the economic problem and the crash in the price of oil, you had the sanctions imposed by the U.S., and that started in 2015 with Obama, who declared Venezuela to be a some kind of a critical threat. That Venezuela posed a threat to the United States. So we were then imposing these emergency sanctions. And the noose has basically been tightened ever since, periodically, a series of increasing sanctions. But they all really hurt terribly in an economy that was suffering because of the crash in the price of its oil, to start with. The United Nations rapporteur named Alfred de Zayas recently wrote a report, and then he began to speak out, and mainstream media would not cover him. And he looked at what actually is the human rights crisis going on in Venezuela. And basically he said, the crisis is essentially for the reasons that I described. That's not to say that there aren't internal issues and problems. There are in every country. And I think it's a little bit presumptuous to say that we, the Americans who can't get it right here in our own country, that we're going to get it straightened out in Venezuela. It's absolutely outrageous to presume that, and is a continuation of the, American exceptionalism as contained in the Monroe Doctrine that says
Right.
We're going to be in control of the hemisphere. And John Bolton himself, cited the Monroe Doctrine to say that, oh no, we're just allowing democracies in America, that in the Americas, North and South America, that's our right, which is just
Bill Maher
total
was
BS.
actually doing on that in his show a couple months
believe it.
ago. Just it's insane how the script totally does flip, and well, not just that. Like it's crazy how the corporate media and the Democrats and all these folks who are so opposed to Trump fall in line with his efforts to depose the leader of Venezuela and institute a coup in Venezuela. It's just it's so surprising to see them fall in line. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's like a form of doublethink almost.
Yeah, completely. Or like non-think, or just brain dead, or something, and for them to be cheerleading the the most despicable symbols of the evils of the warmongering that's gone on for many years, often associated with Republicans. They now, the Democrats are embracing them. To think that the Democrats are rallying behind the leadership of John Bolton and Elliott Abrams really tells you all you need to know about how poisoned this duopoly is and how much they are controlled by the war machine.